we'll call the January 31st FARGODOME Authority meeting to order. You have the agenda in front of you. I would ask if there's any additions.
Approve to accept.
We have a first by Dave, second by Dan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. All right. With your packet, you also have the minutes. So if you please look through those and see if there's any changes. If not, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Got a first by Nancy.
Second.
Second by Troy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Any old business in front of the authority? All right. Hearing none. New business, and we'll go to the general manager's report. We got two of them, so it might take you a while.
I'm guessing it won't. So we'll start on page 3, which is the month of November. We will only be reviewing the left-hand side of the page for that month, and it was a $27,500 surplus. Okay, that's enough for that month.
We're pleased.
Versus a budget of 12. Again, 7 events versus a budget of 6, attendance of 40.5, so slightly, just 171 over. With the expenses, 428 higher, 48,000 than budget of 27. The highlights for the events, the NDSU UND game, over budget, obviously with the introduction of additional items for sale at food and beverage stands. That definitely helped, along with some different price increases. And then the Minnesota sectional dates that we had at the beginning of the month and the Dakota Bowl were all good, well attended, good strong sales. And then we added the Mayville versus Valley City State football game right after that. Expense side, ops, again, higher steam and electricity, some equipment expense as we got into snow season early. So running through that, and we never like to see negative numbers or over budget, but it's good when the concessions contracts or food and beverage management contracts are over budget. That means we're paying them more because we sold more. So, any questions on the month of November? Okay, page 13 is the month of December and year end. And so on the left hand is the month. So for the month of December, we had 7 events with attendance of just over 46,400 compared to a budget of 5 events and attendance of 12,000. Obviously, has been the historical precedent, NDSU playoff games are not budgeted. So that also leads to our large variance on the event side. 257,000 for the 3 NDSU playoff games, so just over about 85,000 a game, which historically playoff games have been more in that 75-ish, 80,000, 70 to 80 contributions. So good attendance, good sales with everything going on at that. The theater shows, it was the last of the budgeted theater concerts to run through at 35,000, which did not materialize. So ran that through, and then the amateur events, Rumble on the Red, again about 6,000 over budget or above budget, and they had good strong attendance. They had, I don't know exactly how many wrestlers, but I think it was 62 varsity teams participating. They I think tripled their girls wrestling, so I think it was around 17 or 1,800. They had about 12 or 1,300 boys and like 500 girls. So really good attendance on that as girls wrestling really takes off in both North Dakota and Minnesota. So at the high school level. On the expense side, labor was about 39,000 above budget due to a fair amount of overtime in the operations department dealing with all the snow and the ice events that we had. Again, the City of Fargo pays out on accrued sick leave for those that have more than 960 hours. So that was small, a little bit there. And then the annual year-end accrual adjustment for accrued vacation for the different people on that. Again, operations about 66,000 above budget. Utilities, I don't know if you've ever noticed the theme over the last 13 months. And then over the last 4 months with snow plow and different things, snow removal and fixing that ice, snow, tsunami, whatever you want to call it, that we had before that last playoff game was a bit of challenging, not only for bodies but also the equipment. So at the end of the day, we were down to no equipment, but thankfully the city was able to come up with an extra plow for us to put on our front end loader, so we were able to get through.
Cleaned up.
That's good.
So that resulted in the month of a net deficit, which December typically is, net deficit of 54,000, but favored very comparative to a budgeted deficit of 147,000. So moving to the right side then for the year, 84 events with attendance of 431,500. Total event income of just about $3.5 million. We did have other income of $1.7 million and indirect expenses of $5.1 million, so that was significantly above budget. However, we did end up for the year with a net surplus of just under $105,000, or about $55,500 above the budgeted $49,000. So overall, pretty good year, pretty good year. Busy year at times. Some things that didn't happen we thought were going to happen, but overall went very well. On the concert side, ended up about $58,000 below budget. Again, that highlights the different types or revenue streams at certain budgets or for certain events. Whereas for 2022, we had 2 Christian contemporary shows where we don't sell alcohol. But then we had some shows, Machine Gun Kelly, Shinedown, that they tend to sell maybe a little bit more alcohol than your Christian contemporary shows. That's one way of putting it. But it was a great mix when you look at it from an Elton John to Toby Mac and Mercy Me on the Christian contemporary side, the Greta Van Fleet, Machine Gun Kelly, so Slipknot, Shinedown, kind of not country, I get it, but Dave will work on you this year. NDSU football side about $400,000 above budget, obviously with the 3 non-budgeted playoff games. Yes, the introduction of alcohol sales or beer sales had a positive effect overall on that as well. The family shows over budget about $123,000. Paw Patrol, which was in May, was not budgeted, but with the rodeo and the Shrine Circus, both had great attendance at it, so higher ancillaries. Really the only, if you look at it, blemish would be the theater side, with $100,000 below budget, as we have stopped doing the theater series due to profitability and different challenges in that. We did have Jersey Boys, which was close to a normal budgeted theater event, but then the other ones did not happen. Amateur sports was strong, and then Monster Jam was strong, along with WWE coming in versus budget. On the expense side, labor came in pretty good, right about $24,000 above budget, mostly due with the year-end accruals that we don't know what the number is going to be, so it's tough to, we don't budget for it because we don't know where it's going to be at, have an idea. Operations, as we've talked about a lot, $300,000 above budget, but that is primarily due to the utilities, the increase of natural gas and electricity, along with kind of, we ended, if I'm trying to remember that, we ended the 21-22 snow season with a fair amount of snow, which was in 22. We started this year's snow season with a lot of snow, which was in 22. So we kind of got dinged on both sides of the snow seasons for that. Questions?
Good to me.
Mr. Chair, the Finance Committee did receive the financials at the past Wednesday meeting in conjunction with Rob's presentation of the financials. That make a motion to accept the financials as presented.
Second.
Roll call, Rick?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Troy?
Yes.
All right, moving on, page 22, events. Since it has been a while since we met last on December 14th as a board, obviously we've had a lot of events, or a few events that we've already talked about. We did finish up the final NDSU football, the semifinal game. It was interesting this year to have 2 Friday night football games. I would say that people like to attend Friday night football games. I'm not so certain people like to work Friday night football games. So they were challenging, but my coworkers here and our part-time staff and our volunteer groups really stepped up and had a great showing for it. It was nip and tuck right to the end on most of them, and even halfway through, but got it done and had a great, finished off another great NDSU football season. And congratulations to them on an absolutely fantastic run again. So it's been a fun wave. Finished the year with Rumble on the Red then, as I mentioned, 1,800 wrestlers, 23 wrestling mats out on the floor. So a lot of activity here from sun up to sundown on that. Turning the calendar year into January, Fight the Frost returned after a 3-year absence on the 13th, 14th, and 15th. Had a lot of parents wanting to get their children to release some energy, so had good attendance at that. And overall, decently, mildly successful event for the beginning of January time period. And then we're just wrapping up as the Red River Valley Boat and Marine Products Show moved in most of last week and had their show Friday, Saturday, Sunday of this past week. It's interesting to see that what boats cost these days. As you walk around the floor and look at that and said, I could have bought 2 houses for that, but okay. But yeah, actually in talking to some of the vendors on Saturday morning, they said Friday was good, and I know that on Sunday, a lot of them said that their Saturday traffic was good too. So overall, it sounds like a successful show, and the promoter was happy, so that's important. So they moved out Sunday night, Monday morning, and as you either saw the trucks or hear them slam, the dirt is coming in now for Monster Jam this weekend.
You guys.
Comments, questions on past events?
Just a question on the Monster Jam. How many days do they actually perform? Was it just one?
You'll have to
This
wait
time?
for that question, and that we're talking
He
past
hasn't
events,
done-
Rick?
Hasn't done.
Hit Monster Jam last year, that's why.
That's just because they moved
I
in.
understand.
We haven't gotten to the event day yet. They have changed it. It is 1 day, 2 shows.
All right.
Wow.
We started off way back when with a Friday night and a Saturday night show. Then we moved to a Friday night and 2 shows on Saturday with a matinee and an evening show. Their Feld's new model. We did it last year. We were fortunate. I've been watching the extended forecast. Hopefully we'll hit it again this year. But they'd basically like to start off with a pit party in the morning, a show at like 1 o'clock, and then another show at 7 o'clock and get out. It does help us labor-wise to a certain degree. It makes it 1 day. There's a lot of, with that show, obviously, there's a lot of ancillary things that go along with it. So the loud noise, the dust, all that kind of stuff. So it is hard on our part-time and our full-time staff. It gets a little long. We do notice everybody's kind of really gung-ho. It used to be, 6 o'clock Friday night, and by Saturday at 4, it was pretty much, can we just get this over with? Where, last year was kind of a, hey, okay, we got 1 day, we can get through this. So that's how the format is going forward again this year. So obviously in this climate that can raise some challenges. Knock on wood, we haven't hit it yet. So that is this Saturday, February 4th. Quick turnover to get the dirt back out of the building, and the NDSU Career and Advising Center is in here setting up on Tuesday the 7th with their Spring Career Expo on Wednesday the 8th. All day during that, they move out. Building gets converted into somewhat of a basketball set, and we have the Parker McCullum Country Concert on Saturday, February 11th. Quick turnover for operations there as the Corn and Soybean Expo through the North Dakota Soybean Council moves in on Monday the 13th with their event and conference on Tuesday the 14th, as the building and the ops group are starting to convert into the wrestling set, which this year now, with the advent of girls wrestling being a sanctioned sport in the North Dakota High School Activities Association. They've gone to 12 mats, competition mats instead of 8, so it kind of changes the configuration. So we'll get ready. They'll move and set up all the mats on Wednesday the 15th, and then wrestling will be the 16th, 17th, and 18th. So if you're a fan of high school wrestling, I suggest come on out. If you're not, come out anyways. So that will end on Saturday the 18th, and the building and seating gets converted again back into, and the Red River Valley Home and Garden Show will start moving in on Tuesday the 21st and move in through the morning of Friday the 24th, with their show starting that afternoon on the 24th. Saturday and Sunday as well. They'll move out Sunday night, Monday during the day, and as they finish moving out, the Sportsman Show and Sinanko Productions is coming in right behind them to start setting up and moving in with the Red River Valley Sportsman Show happening March 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th here. So, which takes us to the next meeting on the 7th. Or 2nd, 3rd, 4th, sorry. Any questions, comments on any upcoming events, Rick? Well, yeah, it is, when you look at it, I know there's 3-4 days that don't actually have a black box on the day, but there will be stuff happening. So there's buildings being converted or cleaned or getting ready, or something moving in or happening every single day in February. So it's definitely getting utilized, and a lot of discussions and preparation to get through and move into March, because March is not a whole lot different.
Good. Busy.
All right.
No other questions, that would conclude.
We will go to committee reports. Dave.
Thank you. B1, the November, December financials, we've gotten through that. The one item was the Johnson Controls that was discussed at Building and Finance, and it was brought forth for the renewal of the Johnson Control Maintenance Agreement. The cost for 1-year renewal for the first year was $93,400 with an escalator of approximately 2.5% to 3%. That was discussed, brought forth, and approved at both Finance and Building approved that. For project updates, it was reported that the fire alarm installation project is now complete and signed off on. And the other item that was discussed in the projects was the turf had some issues with the leaders on the new turf service. The leaders will be replaced before the start of next football season. And AstroTurf was here earlier this month to assess the issues. So there will be more coming forth on that being remedied. So the last item, item D, escrow balance and performance that was received, that's on page 28 by the Finance Committee. With that, that would conclude the Finance Committee report and Building.
Is that a motion?
That's a
Yes.
motion.
Okay. So, Rick?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Cory?
Yes.
All right. For one last time, any additional items?
Just reminders, the February Finance Committee meeting will be on Wednesday, February 2nd, Finance and Building. 12
March 2nd.
March.
I think.
February 22nd.
February 22nd for the FDA Finance and Building Committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had talked at the Building Committee, Building Finance last week, that we might move the audit to the March meeting. I believe we are going to attempt a virtual presentation of the audit at the February 22nd committee meetings. And then it's the February FDA meeting. Listen to my words, Mike.
I did. I heard.
That will be Tuesday, March 7th, as myself and a couple others will be gone on the February 28th. So just a reminder.
Anything else? If not, we are adjourned.